Hello, and next speaker is Thomas Jacob from city of Hamburg, and he's an initiator of LUCIA project, and he's our leader. And it's my honor to give stage to Thomas Jacob, and he's going to do his presentation through online, through internet. Please enjoy it.
Good morning, everybody from Hamburg, and thanks for the warm welcome. My name is Thomas Jacob, working in the mayor's office in the city of Hamburg, and there I'm responsible for international product development. First, I have to say that I'm not the original founder or giving the idea to LUCIA. It was twice applied by Finnish partners, thanks to them. And then after it was rejected, we started with LUCIA and made it successful as it now is. And my thanks go to Heike, which made a wonderful performance in introducing and in managing this project, thanks to all the partnership. I would like to start with a short overview of this project about LUCIA, and I hope my presentation will be visible to everybody. It's now opening, and I will share my screen. Okay, so here we are now at nearly the end of LUCIA, and you know already. And where it all started, well, we're working in international cooperation since about 30 years in a number of projects. In the actual funding period, we had about 85 projects. But we focused on LUCIA because it was a crucial topic for us. It was public lighting, and the basic idea was, well, a street light or light in the city, which is connected with pollution, but mostly with a technical issue, emitting some photons from any emittent to make safety secure in the city. But just to give you an overview, this you know already, who are the partners and the budget, just to start directly into the history and the sense of the project, where all these partners, and I'm very happy that we have a number of very competent partners working on that, from cities, from public authorities to research institutes, and also to ecological questions. So it was a really sound team covering this topic, which I wanted to start now here with my first idea and where LUCIA came from. So in the beginning, it was a question, so how luminous are cities? So in the beginning, we had the cities, medieval city or an ancient city, which was after dusk, it was dark, just dark. And it changed only when there was a big fire. Okay. But mainly we had to live and to work actively in cities in the time between, well, sunrise and sunset. And this was one element which only changed in years ago when artificial lighting started. But the main fact was all our economic, social life was really dependent on daylight. And this was a main part of our history in all cities. And in spite of this, well, we'll not say wasted time, but time we had to live in darkness, we had to get comfortable with this time. We made some candle lights, but we worked, and all our European prosperity grew in the few lights time of the day when there was light. And then when in the 19th century the street lights appeared more and more, it were more gas lights. So they were mainly installed here at prominent places, like in front of a palace, at a big valley, big alleys, or just at intersections and roads to make safety, security, or maybe for illuminating bars where people should go and social life could start again. But it was the first start when were the attempts to illuminate cities even in the night, and where normal people and not only the bad guys could walk around. And so the main daylight time, the active time, was extended. But it was only in very prominent places. If you see on the left picture, so the normal housing area, a small shop, after dark, it was dark again. And even at working places. So where vessels were unloaded and loaded. So darkness was really a burden for early industrial handcraftsmen. So darkness was really an element which was to be fought against. And we had to, and we all did it all over the world with technological progress. Light went for the purpose to accelerate life. And one of the main drivers of this lighting was mobility. So mobility and electricity, they were the main factors in the United States, starting with electrifying complete blocks, then the introduction of trams and mobility by mass transport instead of coaches or individual vehicles, but to make streets more safe and to give mobility a chance and to foster the industrial life, handcraft life, transportation of goods or of persons in general. So this was hand in hand. Mobility and electricity were the accelerators for urban light. And the urban space also was an element which was filled with life after this electrification or illumination. Okay, it was accompanied by bad housing conditions compared to today and large families. If you look in the late 19th century, an average family in European capitals had about 10, 15 people living only in a few dozen square meters. So people were moving outside the street and social life took place. But by illuminating and lighting these places, it's about amazing if you see old pictures today, how many people were on the roads in these days. The roads were crowded wherever you see old postcards, photos, and to see a photo like this here, compared to today's time, there must be a mass demonstration or whatever to have so many people, but this was to be regarded as a quite normal day in any European city in former days. And one of the effects was, of course, due to the street light and electrification, that the public space was more attractive to be there, to live there. And after dusk, it was illuminated suddenly, even in darkness. And there, I can tell you, there are very few postcards and old pictures of street life in darkness and in former times. But it was quite clear. Even cities made the advertisement. Vienna at night was suddenly possible to enjoy also for good people, for established people. People could walk around and enjoy the public space and fill the cities with life. So street light had a main driving function for making cities attractive, and cities were lighting, bright, shining as they are today, with all negative effects. But still, it's a picture of an idealism. So I want to wake up in a city that never sleeps. That's New York, and that's fashion, that's modern, and that's life. And a city which is dark in the night is a city anywhere at the end of the world. Light is still a symbol, a sign of a pulsating, of an active, of a modern, of a prospering city. But then, since a couple of years, we are thinking a little bit about, is it more light? Is it better? Or what else can we do with light? And we have this, you all know, the smart city initiatives of the first years of this century. So to connect city and to bring this infrastructure element, light, from only emitting photons and bring public safety, security to the city, to regard it as a part of an infrastructure element. Well, with all changes infrastructure is facing, we have steering lights, light emitting diodes, which are more energy efficient, but also they are steered, they are movement detectors, and they are connected. Light is not only anymore an element of bringing light to the cities, but it's part of our infrastructure in general, and we are thinking everywhere how to include this light in mobility issues, how to bring light into energy efficiency issues. What is the function of light beside the bringing safety and security in the cities? And so we are coming to the question, for whom do we illuminate our cities? You can see on the left side a picture of the Hamburg Domplatz, which was really artificial made, and there was competition between artists and urban planners. And so in the evening, this is beautiful illuminated, but compared, and if you remember to the picture of the 19th century, how many people are there enjoying this light? For whom is this light? We see that's, at least not so much people there on the road as there were in former centuries. And on the right picture, you can see easily that most of our cities are illuminated along the mobility axis. The more you can see this, if you go by plane in the last minutes before landing, you see the structures of city light. It's along the mobility axis. For what reason ever? Because a car has already headlights, but there are already, the structure is existing that the light and the function of light we are overthinking now. We are regarding for whom is this light and what are the effects. So I'm very happy that we tackled these issues with LUCIA, and we demonstrated there in a number of pilot actions that, well, street lighting, light in the cities is more than just bringing the original topic of bringing safety, security to cities. We have waterfronts, pedestrian areas, we have public areas where inhabitants or people are invited to live there. We have a number of different activities which can demonstrate and are able to demonstrate the effect of light on more than just bring light to the cities, but making it a comfortable space and to rethink the function of our installations in the cities. And the way we did it, you know it better than I do, that we had a number of fact sheets which demonstrate the knowledge about this project, knowledge of this community, including our network LUCI, where also we had a question not only to disseminate our topics, but also to get inputs from them. And we saw in a number of several aspects which we can do in the future with our street lighting efforts in our partner cities. So this is one thing, the theory, to have a fact sheet, a paper, but the challenge for LUCIA and of all our partners, and furthermore for all cities in our partners and in Europe, are how do we bring this from theory to praxis? So the pilot sites were just what pilot sites are. They are just test beds, test fields where we can experiment with a small, very small element of our city elements and to bring some new experience gained from the exchange with other partners, but demonstrated in our areas. And so in the end, we can say it was a good work. It was well done by Team LUCIA, and my thanks is to all of you. And let's have a look forward, because we are at the beginning, not at the end. And as we see, and it's, please excuse me, too fast, but so you know better what we had achieved in the past, what will come in the next years. And we are working in the Interreg program. And even yesterday, there were national boards in Interreg Baltic Sea. We are facing the next funding period, and it's coming ahead. And in difference to the previous funding period, we now are facing a slightly different priorities of the funding program. And even if you have some presentation in the next few days, I will highlight a little bit where we can work on, in which topic we are possibly see a chance to continue with our work. And you see the priorities and the sub-priorities and topics there. And it depends on our focus where we want to go after having the base made by LUCIA in the previous years. Do we want to focus a little bit more on circular economy or on energy efficiency or on urban mobility? Or is it a question of resilience to make cities inclusive anymore? This is a question we will have to discuss and then to decide if yes, where we want to go on a start or in more than one topic, but to bring all this knowledge of this important element of LUCIA together in the future international cooperation. Furthermore, that's my job in the previous month, and I think a number of you will also work on this topic. So we are working on the Horizon program, and also in this program, which is challenging Europewide networking, Europewide cooperation. There's a number of topics where urban lighting will possibly be integrated. The question of urban lighting, is it a question of civil security? Or do we focus on the design element? How do cities look like in the future? And the new European Bauhaus mission, which is launched by the Commission now in these days? Or is it a question of climate or energy mobility, which is strongly focusing on one element? So this is also a topic I really want to draw your attention on, that to have a possible funding source for future activities on this continuation of this topic. And last not least, Interreg Europe, which is a program some people regard as a travel and talk program, but on the other hand, it's an exchange of experience. Main topic there is the improving of policy instruments. And a policy instrument is regarded as any maybe urban design plan, which is released by a board, city council, whatever. So if we are going to improve our mobility plans, our urban design plans, our climate plans, by the element of light, by the element of function of light, of social life, effects of life. But as we want to improve this element instruments, we have a number of topics where we can start and concentrate. Is it on citizens, or is it on ecological issues? Is it on social elements of light in the cities I just translate, or more of the technological or connectivity elements? Also, there is a possible funding source for future cooperation about this topic of light in cities, where we would like to cooperate with you again. So altogether, we have this Baltic Sea region program for the future. So we have this Horizon. We have the topics of Interreg Europe, and there's a lot of chances where we could focus in the future, can continue with our international cooperation, but it has to be said quite clearly, there will not be a LUCIA 2. Just the continuation is really not really possible, but I think it's also not in our sense just to continue. We have to continue with our work and to have future aims and goals to define in which direction we want to go, or in more than one. We can have in one program the citizens element, in another the technological, another program maybe the ecological elements. So there's a lot of chances in the future and a lot of topics where we can work on and continue. The timelines for this are not so far ahead. Here I have to correct, it's not 2011, but 2021. To apologize for that. And also for Interreg Baltic Sea, we'll learn tomorrow that we have to be aware that the first calls will be in the first quarter, the first 3 months of next year. And for Horizon, where the working programs are already released and some deadlines are not anymore to achieve for us because in 2 weeks or 3 weeks the deadlines are. But in 2021, there's a number of other deadlines where we can work on. So this is my very short presentation, and I hope it gave a short idea about the LUCIA important, which is not only for us, but I also hope for you, for the partnership, and give some ideas how we could continue with our future work. And I'm very interested and happy to answer questions and discuss with you the further procedures. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thomas. Do you have questions to Thomas?
So thank you very much for your presentation, Thomas, from Hamburg, and also for the warm welcome. Actually, what you mentioned in the beginning, that people was in the first stage made, or public lighting was, so to say, a background option. Workers had to work in dusk and it was not bright. So now we are transforming our cities, but we can see, even if we transform these public spaces where we are, it is a challenge now because Corona showed us how comfortable it is to be at home. And I wonder if we really need to add not only latest technology in order to create smart, sustainable cities, but also to create a new or additional culture to get people back out of the houses again and that they are meet at these places. Do you think that we need to address this issue as well, or is it simple, we create a lovely atmosphere, good lighting concept, and people will come?
Well, good question about the role of us as cities or authorities. What is our intention? And I'm a convinced Democrat. If people like to stay at home because at home it's beautiful, they have their family, their dog, their environment, I'm the last one who will say we should bring people outside. Sorry. So if my grandfather likes to live at home, it's absolutely okay. But what we should do, in my opinion, is that we can make offers. And as long as we focus, and again, the picture, if you take the plane nearly landing in a city, you see that the lighting is more or less something which is, covering streetlights and mobility access, and the public spaces are oriented, the lighting of public spaces, the design of public spaces oriented on some elements which are maybe artificial, done by artists or urban planners, and we should focus a little bit more on the needs of people. It's not a question of theory, but about the demands and desires of people. And so to make places more attractive, this could be one very interesting point to make cities more livable. There's a question of urban planning in general, monostructured banking quarters, CBDs, you know already, to have a mixture there. And so light is a quite crucial and important element to make a city attractive. Beside the mixture of land use, is it commercial or housing? Do we have safety guaranteed for children, for people in the night? And this could be one way. And I'm an urban planner as well. I try to talk to everybody who wants to know that it's not our task to bring people wherever, but to do something to make spaces attractive, more attractive than some spaces are. Does it answer your question?
Yes, of course, that answers my question, but there's always a but, as you know. Actually, the thing is, we are really trying to transform cities now. And so getting people out of the car, so to say, using more public spaces, reducing car use in cities. My issue is always, or what we also tried with LUCIA is really, and if we look at our pilot sites, and I'm happy that we really focus during this conference on pilot sites also, we already made this first step, because our pilot sites concentrate really on people. They concentrate on commuters walking or cycling from A to B. And as you also mentioned, Interreg and upcoming other European funding projects might help also to address this issue, this topic a little bit stronger and support this idea. Question is, in which direction do you think we should address this topic of supporting cycling and walking stronger? Or is the European Commission or the European Union already open-minded to that? We have the Green Deal, for example. We have the SDGs, and we all know how important it is that we transform our cities now and also suburban areas. And can you think of a point how to make it stronger? Because what we also see in cities and what we also can see while we planned our pilot sites is really that cities are really busy with their daily issues. And it's often not really time to think ahead. So how can we get additional input, and from whom, to create better places? Any idea about this?
You know, having ideas is my job, and I have 1,000 ideas. LUCIA was a project where lighting elements were in the main focus. That's absolutely okay, and it was a step where I regard it as a starting point. In the discussion you raised, light will be one element. To transform cities, we have a number of issues to tackle with and to answer a number of topics, and light is one element. It's not well, I will not say make a ranking between the topics, but light, attractivity of accessibility, attractivity of housing, of working space, and tendency to home office, these are all elements. And I think that also ecological issues and technological issues are important. I think in the future discussion, to answer this point, light will be one of maybe 5 or 6 elements to talk about, building on the experience we made with LUCIA. This is for sure. Light is not the crucial element which brings city to urban life, but if light is wrong, it's a big burden for all the other topics. And you can make so much bicycle path as they are not illuminated, people are afraid to walk there. Okay, but if you have only light and no bicycle paths, sorry, there's no physical way to achieve. So this will be my possible advice for the future to answer the question of how can we raise attractivity. Then the new Bauhaus is a good topic, maybe in Horizon or in Interreg Baltic Sea, to start with a project dealing with attractivity, resilience, or whatever cities. In parallel, there are so many open questions in some specific topics. So smart city issues are not answered already, or ecological questions are not finally answered. Mobility topics are changing every time. We could also work together with all the elements where lighting issues are present. And this can be one challenge for each of us in LUCIA. If you, Heike, will be in the future in one Horizon project and the colleagues from the other partners are present in other projects, we can make a frame, an umbrella where these lighting topics from several working groups can come together. So this would be one idea, and we are ready for supporting you.
Thank you very much, Thomas.